You're watching a clip from the Club podcast.
Make sure you follow it on Spotify and Apple Podcasts and give it a 5-star review.
So here you go. Is a lovely clip from our podcast.
Championship.
Right, it's that time. And some people have claimed this is their favourite part of the show.
Yep.
Overrated or underrated. We've got three players to discuss this week. The first one we're going to talk about is Arsenal's Ben White. Played at right back this season. It's also a centre-back. £50 million they paid for him. Not many people talking about the price tag now, even though it's very expensive. What do you think of Ben White?
I think he's slightly underrated. I really, really like Ben White. I think if you ask a centre-back to play in a full-back position...
Why do you sound so insincere?
People are thinking I'm going to try and wind Arsenal fans up. I think he was the shining light in that back four when it was all falling apart. It was falling apart. Zinchenko was crying after the Bournemouth game, trying to do an Oscar-winning speech when they scraped points against Bournemouth and all that. Gabriel, I thought his level actually dropped off, but no one will talk about it because of the Arsenal propaganda machine from AFTV. Saliba was injured, so I can't say anything about that. Ben White was fantastic. I think he's got a ceiling that's world-class. I think he's a Champions League centre-back for the remainder of his prime in his career.
Do you agree with me on this, though? Anyone that plays for Arsenal is usually overrated. Because
they get hyped up.
Stop, do they?
They get hyped up, you know.
Like, God, like last season, Thomas Partey this and that. Thomas Partey, he's better than Casemiro and he's better than Rodri and he's better than this guy and that guy, Roy Keane and Vieira and all.
That was embarrassing.
And then this summer, literally a month later, get rid of him.
Yeah.
It's crap.
Selling to the Saudi Arabian pub league.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, the Pro League. Sorry, the Pro League. So, look, Ben White, for me, outstanding footballer. That's all I can say. I think it's pretty simple, isn't it? I mean...
I think he's overrated anyway.
Andy Robertson. Is he the best left-back in the world right now?
You know what? I'm biased here because he does my fucking idiot. I can't stand him.
I hate him, yeah.
Yeah, he's a knob. You know, when he pushed Messi's head, I just thought, who do you think you are? And you know what? That would probably be me.
Yeah,
you know
and if he was a Man United player.
And that would probably be me, and you'd love him if he was your player, but my opinion is heavily skewed by the fact that I don't like him, and he probably doesn't like me.
Is he world class in his position? Is he a world class left back? Top 3 or 4 in his position?
He has to be.
He has to be still, yeah. He has to be.
He has to be.
Yeah, so we agree he's world class.
Assists and stuff he makes.
Yeah, he's important.
Could argue he's underrated.
I think he might be slightly underrated, which I just can't stand the guy. So can we just not give an answer?
Imagine he was English.
Oh, thank God he's not English.
No.
Thank God he's not English. He couldn't be
Actually,
English.
if he was English, he might not start for him. Because they've got some good left backs.
I'd rather take Luke Shaw, I think.
But
maybe not.
Imagine he was English. How they'd go on about him.
Yeah. He's a passion merchant. He's a passion merchant, isn't he? He's the shouty one.
Actually, Trent played against I don't know who he played against, Alaska last week in midfield, and everyone's telling me he should play in the Champions League in the midfield. I'm like, what's going on?
Mental, isn't it? Absolutely mental.
Crazy.
Robertson's not technically like that, is he? He's not gifted enough, but he's got the physicality. He's fitter. He's
a better fullback than Trent.
He's an old school defender.
Yeah,
he's old school.
Agreed. Number 3, Luke Shaw. I think Luke Shaw's underrated.
I agree.
Oh. I mean, we need to squeeze some more time out of this. So
Sorry, I can go.
See what happens when we agree.
Yeah, I know. We got to stop doing this. But Luke Shaw, people forget the goal against Italy. The technique for that goal was absolutely surreal. How good that was. I think he's great in a back 5. I think he's great in a back 4. People forget the horrific injury he got when he left Southampton, and he recovered from that. There are arguments that he was a little bit overweight at points in his career.
He has been, but I think he struggled.
Last season was fantastic. I think he was consistent. You look at someone like Ben Chilwell, who many people argue he's more technically gifted than Luke Shaw, but you have to be fully fit. You have to keep playing football matches, and Luke Shaw does that at the highest level.
I think he's a very good player, and he's done us a huge favour because there was periods over the last few years where you go, is he falling off a little bit here? And then he works hard, he gets back in and he gets back fit. And chopping and changing managers that helped him. I remember he was excellent for Van Gaal. Him and Memphis Depay were linking up, and that's how long ago that was. And he gets that injury in PSV Eindhoven. Against PSV Eindhoven, I was there that night. It was horrible. And he struggled to come back. Then you have Mourinho basically saying, you're crap. He needs my brain. All this kind of just absolutely destroying him. And no wonder he went a little bit fat. He was probably comfort eating, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do that.
Like Mourinho's banging on about him at training. He's probably going home and just going,
eating Twix and all that. Like
give
I
me
do.
the Kit Kats. You know what I mean? Like, just
No,
give me the
not Kit Kat. Surely
And now
he's a millionaire. Not
he's
Kit
had
Kats.
he's a settled manager. And yeah, I think
People forget how technically good he was at Southampton. He's a technically very
good.
gifted
Set pieces,
Yeah,
all that
yeah,
kind
yeah.
of stuff.
The finish for
Delivery.
England.
Kai Havertz, who, if people don't know at this moment in time, is being very, very closely linked to Arsenal.
Which proves how overrated he is. Arsenal had a great season. They don't struggle to score goals. They've got a lot of players in their front four that can score goals. And they're somehow considering buying Kai Havertz. This proves how overrated he is. He's nowhere near good enough to play for Arsenal. Kai Havertz doesn't possess one quality. I'll row this back, by the way. I'll change my opinion if either of you can prove me wrong. Kai Havertz doesn't have one quality that doesn't exist in the Arsenal front line already in abundance, apart from height.
I think I
And he's
agree
crap
with
in the
that.
air.
I agree with that, but because I think his best position is Odegaard's position, and we've literally put him in our underrated 11 today. Like, we think Odegaard's quality. So he's not going to replace Odegaard in the team. So where is he going to play? If he plays up front, I think they lose something. And I think they kind of end up in the same position they're in with Gabriel Jesus, where I know they're different styles, but he's not going to be the number 9 that's going to win you the league. Does he play out left, out on the right?
You can. He's not good.
Not better than
You
Martinelli.
can't
saying he can play
sacrifice,
front,
you can't
can play
sacrifice
left, right.
Martinelli, Trossard, Saka for him.
You can only play in 3 positions. You can
So
play
it's
as
a
a false
weird one
9,
in terms of
just
position.
about.
But I do think he's a better player than a lot given credit.
Maybe what we're missing about Kai Havertz is that he'll just start for Odegaard in the League Cup, the FA Cup, the Champions League group
Nah, you don't
stages.
spend
I'm not.
70 million
I
on
think
your
the only reason they can sign him...
I don't know how he plays
is that
both
they can
with
only
Odegaard.
They can only sign him if he's there to bolster the front line as option. Like, it's an option for Arteta. The only thing that he is... The only thing that he isn't is 5'10", like the rest of their forwards. So he's an option for that.
He's not physical, is he?
No,
anyway? So
he gets bullied, man.
I think he'd fit in with their style of play, though. But it's just that I don't think he's starting.
I don't think he's good on
in
the
his
ball.
best position for them. No, I think
He's a very weird, clunky
I
player.
think the move to Chelsea was the right player, but I think the wrong team coaches.
He's had so many.
I know exactly.
Yeah, but he's had so many. Like, you go to the wrong
He wouldn't
coach.
fit in anywhere. He wouldn't fit in a
coach.
City. He wouldn't have fitted in a Barca,
He'll
Real.
be good for Arteta.
We'll see. But overrated chronically if he's being linked to Arsenal, the second best team in the country.
Riyad Mahrez, underrated for me.
Underrated.
Yeah, I think that's pretty simple.
Although, are people not aware of his brilliance? I think he's a masterful footballer. But to say he's underrated would suggest that people don't think that he is a masterful footballer.
But I don't think, maybe because he doesn't start as often for City, towards the tail end of the season.
I think he's a brilliant player.
Yeah, I think he's unreal. Gets so many goals.
Some of the goals he scored in that Leicester City winning campaign, I rewatched the highlights the other day.
Mate, do you know one I saw? Funny you mentioned that. I saw one. He didn't score the goal. Vardy scored it. His touch is unbelievable. I think they're playing Liverpool. They batter Liverpool. It might be Man United. They batter someone on it's like a night game at the King Power, right? And the ball comes over, long ball, really wet conditions, horrible. Ball comes over, Vardy makes a run. He doesn't even control it. He literally just touches the ball into the, gently cushions it into the path of Vardy.
That was
Vardy
around Darmian, I think.
Vardy scored a hat-trick that night. I think it might have been against United now. I was thinking it was Liverpool.
I think it was Darmian. He played the ball around him first.
When he broke the record.
Yeah, he broke the record. It was he's outrageous. He scored a great goal against City that year as well.
Oh, amazing.
When with this step over, banged it in with his right foot.
Yeah,
great.
PFA Player of the Year that year as well. We forget that.
Truly,
he's
great.
underrated.
Unreal.
And I think he's one of the best wingers the Premier League's had.
Yeah, 100%. Transfer announcement videos for me, they're getting a bit
Dreadful,
tedious.
mate.
I think
Absolutely
some of them
ridiculous.
are great.
All I want to see is the player
Majority
holding
are
the
crap.
holding
They're
the
getting less
scarf.
and less.
I want the player holding the scarf,
Yeah.
just like that, holding.
Real Madrid showed their class when they signed Bellingham. It was just a simple press conference,
wearing a
little
whistle.
photo,
Wearing a
and
whistle.
It was just classic.
You know what? United's ones for Pogba's and Sanchez, they went better than the signings. They were so good.
They were.
The Sanchez
they
one,
were
that was
hype.
cringe. That was
Was that
cringy.
Pog back?
When he was remember he was playing the piano and all that.
Pog back with
Sanchez was
Stormzy.
sat there playing the piano.
That was good, man. That was so
That
good.
was so
Mate,
cringy,
do you know,
man.
do you know what? Do you know what they're going to have to do now? You know when
It was better than Sanchez's United career.
You know when a player signs for Newcastle, they're going to, on the other side of their scarf, we know they hold the scarf up, have the Saudi, because you're not signing specifically only for Newcastle, are you?
You're signing for the country
Signing
Saudi
for the-
Arabia. I'd love to do the same thing, so shout me out. My DMs are open on Twitter.